2024 and 2025 have shown me some incredible deals on flights, both on points redemptions and just flying the right route at the right time, only paying cash. So I'm sharing the cost and tips of the best value flight that I took in the last 2 years, ranging from economy all the way to business class. Spoiler alert, I never paid more than £430, even when paying cash for one of the best business class seats in the world. Let's start with our first points redemption, London to Mumbai in BA's Club Suites. If you're trying to get to the east, using India as a layover is always a good idea. First of all, there are 6 major cities in India that BA flies to, including some incredible airports like Bangalore, and the redemptions are awesome. You can also use most of these airports to fly Singapore Airlines to Singapore in business class for almost the same cost as an economy ticket. But more on that in a bit. We flew to Mumbai in Club Suites for 67,500 avios, plus £237 and 50 pence. I'd like to point out that 3 months earlier, we flew Club World, which is the old BA business class seat, to Delhi, and the redemption cost exactly the same. I have very strong and very public opinions on how this is priced. Back to Club Suites though, it's a very comfortable cabin, the service is great, and the seat's pretty decent for a sleep. This also was during the Christmas period, so the equivalent flight would have been around £2,500. It's a big saving. Next up, a short hop in East Asia that turned out to be almost free. We flew Taipei to Busan with Korean Air, an airline that I've never flown with before, but I always really wanted to. This was booked via Virgin Atlantic because Virgin Atlantic are in the SkyTeam Alliance, which is the same alliance as Korean Air, and the price was 7,000 Virgin points and $16.60. In cash, the same ticket was about £389 per person, a huge saving of over £370. A lot of people sleep on Virgin, but the redemptions with them and their partners can be incredible, as you'll see the more we dig into this. Sticking with Korean Air, we then flew another 7,000 point deal, this time from Seoul to Osaka. The same amount of points as before, but $1.50 more in cash. Also again booked through Virgin and saving a substantial amount of money versus the £257 ticket price. Once again, $18, we paid almost nothing in cash. After flying into the Bay of Osaka at night for less than it cost me to get into my office, I will forever be a fan of Korean Air. Now for a business class treat. We went from Tokyo to Manila with Japan Airlines. JAL are in the One World group, so I simply went on the British Airways website, set Tokyo as the departure point, and voila. Doesn't get much simpler than that. 31,200 avios and £84 per person. Sounds crazy, right? A 4-hour business class flight for the same price as an economy seat. The flight time was about 4 hours and we had Japan Airlines comfy regional business class seat. Was it the best business class seat in the world? No. Was it worth paying £84 per person to be able to lie flat on a flight that's departing at 2 AM? 100%. And as you can imagine, being Japan Airlines, the food was more than acceptable. Flight retails at £830 per person, which I would in no way ever pay for a one-way flight, but paying a tenth of the price, I think I can stretch. I'm not even halfway done yet, and we must have saved almost £2,000 just thanks to points. Now, before you start commenting, does this guy even have a job? Yes, I do. And no, it's not this, but I got married last year and my wife and I took a 9-month sabbatical to travel the world, made possible mostly using points. I would like for this to be my job though, so please hit that like button and consider subscribing to help me bring more content to you more regularly. Now for the flight that almost was. We had a plan to go down under, which unfortunately we had to change. I've still never been to Australia. All I know is that people just seem to go there and never come back. Let me know in the comments if it's worth the hype and if I should still try and go. Anyway, we booked Bali to Sydney via Virgin on Garuda, Indonesia for, you guessed it, 7,750 points with $40.50 on the end. In cash, this ticket would be about £267. But in peak season in January, which is when we booked, it's a very popular time of year to visit Australia, I understand. I think it's summer there. Prices could be astronomically higher. So paying $40 doesn't seem that bad. Even though we ended up cancelling this one, it's such a good deal that I felt like I had to mention it, especially when you consider that it's a 6-hour flight. You seeing a trend with these 7,000 point flights and barely any cash in East Asia and Southeast Asia with Virgin in the middle? Because I am. And speaking of Virgin, earlier this year we flew from JFK to London Heathrow in premium economy for an unbelievable price. This flight was on the brand new A330-900 Neo, which has Virgin's best business class that I'm still yet to try. I cannot wait for that day. And we paid 10,500 Virgin points and $103.50. Bearing in mind the cash equivalent for this seat is £1,056. Virgin introduced a new point structure for their seats recently, which means that every seat on the plane can be booked with reward seats, but that means that the prices can become stupidly expensive. I'm talking 500,000 points for a seat, kind of stupid. At the same time, it also means that there can be some incredible deals if you get in early enough, or if the route has low enough demand. The seat on the A330neo has a huge leg rest with plenty of pitch, making it very easy to sleep, just like business class. If you need to cross the pond comfortably, this is the sweet spot, and far better value than wasting double, triple, maybe even quadruple the amount of points with BA. And you can earn Virgin tier points on flights even when they're redeemed with points. For our last points redemption, we did a simple internal US hop from Miami to New Orleans, booking of course through British Airways, which is an American Airlines partner through Oneworld. Why am I telling you about this flight? Because it cost 16,000 Avios and £4. I can't even get a water in a US airport for £4. In cash, this seat would have been about £286. Now, of course, the US has a lot of flights and a lot of airlines, but some of the more premium airlines like Delta, United, American Airlines have much higher fees, and for that reason, if you want to avoid all of the drama of flying with Frontier or Spirit, I have now flown with them, so I feel qualified to comment on this. This is a great alternative. Okay, now that the points deals are done, let's talk about some cash bookings that really blew me away. First up, Delhi to Singapore in Singapore Airlines business class. I've been teasing this one throughout the whole video, but how can I not? We paid £430 per person. This one was nuts. Singapore Airlines is routinely voted one of the best carriers in the world. And with this flight being in the 6-hour range, it falls into the medium haul category, which is long haul planes, long haul service, medium haul prices. You can fly this seat from most major airports in India, which is where the BA connection comes in. And the price, if booked far enough in advance, is around the same as what I've just quoted. Trust me, I've checked it. Look at March 2026. Here's what I got for my £430. Lounge access to one of the coolest airport lounges I've ever seen in my life in Delhi Airport. It had a gaming room, it had a gym, it had a massage room. I could go on, the food selection was incredible. Then, when I got on board, I was greeted by a Singapore sling. Who wouldn't want to be greeted by a Singapore sling? Followed by one of the most outrageous menus selected by culinary experts. I had lobster thermidor at 9 AM on a plane. It's going down as one of the most outrageous and unbeatable moments on an aircraft in my life. Unlimited wine, unlimited Singapore slings, of course the most incredible service, and a pretty damn comfortable seat to top it off. Paying £430 for that seat is practically stealing it. An economy seat might set you back 300 plus. Definitely a highlight of the year. Now, the penultimate one was just for fun. We booked Singapore to Phnom Penh in Emirates business class. The flight goes from Dubai to Singapore and then on to Phnom Penh. And the tip is we paid £114 for the seat. But then 2 days before departure, we got an email from Emirates saying, hey, do you want to bid to upgrade? In fact, it wasn't even a bid to upgrade. It was just pay us right now, 259 Singapore dollars, which I think is around £140, and we'll guarantee you business class. Now, I know the flight is only 2 hours long, but Emirates business class routinely retails well into the thousands. So I'm never going to experience it myself outside of this. The flight may have been under 2 hours, and maybe we didn't get lounge access to Emirates Lounge at Singapore Airport, but none of this mattered because we flew business class with Emirates and it was a phenomenal experience. The food was great, the drinks were great, the staff were great, the cabin was very spacious and airy and light. Last but by no means least, our 2024 Easter trip to Florida. We flew London Gatwick to Orlando with Norse Airways. If you haven't heard of Norse Airways, it's a new Norwegian low-cost carrier, and if you don't believe the hype, you probably should. The return trip was £292, which is already pretty insane for an Easter holiday trip to one of the most popular Easter destinations in the world for Brits. But then we did something even better. On the way back, when we got to the airport, we just asked, hey, are there any upgrades available? And they said yes, and I said, how much? And they said £150 per person. So on the return leg, we flew premium economy, which is the highest cabin that they have, and I was so impressed by how wide the seat was. It had a full recline feature like a armchair at home. It was basically like a living room armchair recliner on wheels. I slept wonderfully, and I don't really sleep on flights very well. The flight was about 8 hours, so having this seat was a lifesaver. Difficult to see how Norse are keeping up this pricing model, but while they do, I'm here for it. And that wraps it up. 10 phenomenal flight deals from the last couple of years. We've flown business class with BA and club suites, Korean Air twice, having never flown them before, JAL in business class, the list goes on, all by being flexible and using points when necessary. I would love to hear what amazing deals you've been able to find in the past. Someone in the comments recently was talking about flying all the way from Sydney to London for 90,000 points in Q suites. I want to hear more stuff like that. Drop a comment below with your favorite or even some of the ones that you like from this video. As always, I've been Jordan. I appreciate you. Please subscribe to see more content like this. Safe.